We're talking about what would happen if you put the rankings for the men's and women's rugby in the same ranking system. So this was a question that was actually broached by the platform Ireland. What was it called? Irish Women's Rugby Supporters Club. All right. And they basically presented this idea. You know, just imagine if world rankings and therefore World Cup seeding was calculated as a combination of women's and men's rankings. Unions would suddenly care. Cultures of misogyny would be actively opposed. The women would be adequately resourced and treated with respect, if only. And I thought it was kind of an interesting concept to be able to go off of, because I think there's two parts to this. Number one, is it the possibility that unions would properly fund both programs? I don't know if that would necessarily be true, even with the world rankings, because again, the world rankings don't necessarily bequeath more revenue in any way, shape, or form. Even their addition, yes, you might have an access to Rugby World Cup in terms of automatic bidding, but that usually goes to just the top 4 teams, top 2, top 3 teams, or more or less. So the majority of teams aren't necessarily going to be positively affected by a higher world ranking. But on the other side of it, though, I do think that there is an interest in being able to say what would be the most proficient rugby program. And why would that be important as a rugby program as opposed to just the individual rugby teams? Because it would mean that there is a system that's being created, and we'd be basically ranking the best systems to follow in world rugby. And I think that's something that the world really does need to know and understand. And if you have better balance between your women's and your men's team, well, of course, that's something that you send coaches to. That's something that you can send to your sponsors in essence, where it's like our reach can go because we have a system that is developed to magnify both sides of our audiences. It magnifies our participation, and it allows us to show that we can create the best athletes, and hence something to be able to generate revenue, but more importantly, generate interest for the players. Like, I know if you're a high school student or you're a college student trying to get to a test match, yeah, there's the advantage of playing for your national team, but you also now know the standard of being like, yo, I'm going into one of the best programs in the world. And I don't always think that the best programs necessarily are going to have the number 1 and number 2 team. I mean, they will. They'll have the number 1 and number 2 teams. But more importantly, though, but you'll see the best development. And I think that adds a different incentive for these programs. And I think that one would be what could adjust the misogyny, though, but not because the union would care about the seedings in terms of what it would do for the World Cup, but solely because of the fact that you could generate a different kind of interest off of that and build more tools off of that perception. So that being said, Irish Women's Rugby Club Supporters Club put together their initial top 10 ranking of who they think would be in this world rankings. All right. So they went number 1. They had England, and they put a point system onto it. They had at 181.93 points. I do think that they did a little bit of combination jigamajoo with it, but you know, it's whatever. Do what you got to do. Do you? All right. They had England at number 1. They had New Zealand at number 2. They had France at number 3. They had Ireland at number 4. Australia sitting ranked at number 5. South Africa at number 6. Scotland at number 7. Italy at 8. Wales at 9. And a bit of a shocker for this one, Canada at 10. So I'm looking at this one, and I got it. I kind of feel what they're saying on it, but I don't agree with this ranking. Especially if you're taking the combination of world rankings, and I'm looking at it again. You're looking at a union, so it's not just are we looking at a 15s, are we looking at 7s? I'm taking as a program as a whole. What is your ranking as a union? And I think it slightly shifts. And you know, because I like to do a little bit extra for you guys, you know, I didn't say let me stop at 10. I said Let me do my top 25 on this one. All right. Let me know what you guys think. I want to know what your feelings are with this one, but let's see where it goes. All right. At number 1 for me, New Zealand. Yes, New Zealand men are technically a little bit behind, falling behind in terms of 15s rankings, and are kind of iffy when it comes to 7s. But I mean, let's be honest, man. The women are absolutely killing it at 15s, killing it at 7s. Men are just absolutely just came in second in the Rugby World Cup in 15s, and they're always in play and dominant in 7s. Number 1, easy top. I don't think it's even a close one. All right. Number 2 is where it gets even deviates for me. I actually have France as number 2. Why? Because I think that their program in totality is significantly better than any other program in Europe. Even England, despite the fact that England has professional rugby for women on the premiership side, I think the women from France actually are far more talented, and the men are more talented than the English men, even though England lost to the men lost in Six Nations. Add to that, I think France 7s is significantly better than any other in terms of the total program than any other program in Europe. The women consistently are in the top 3, top 4, and the men are finding their way back in 7s. Not as great, but obviously they already got 1 win in the series, and I think they've been doing it. If they got DuPont on their side, I think they got something to go with. So I have France at number 2. Number 3, I got England. England men, obviously formidable in 7s, even though they're getting combined in with Great Britain. I still think whenever you see them in the Olympics, they really show out the most that they do. From women's side, dominant across the board. Just dominant across the board. Like, England women are the best team overall in rugby, but they're not the most talented. Obviously, like I said, I think France is a more talented team overall, but when it comes to England 15s, top. Comes to England 7s, Great Britain, obviously, I think it's a little bit iffier in that one. And even with whenever it's them Red Rose by themselves, I think they're iffy. I think France is typically better, but England is a close number 3. Like, France and England, I think you can interchange between the two of them if you wanted to make the argument. But I think they really shift between that. Number 4 on this one, I actually have Scotland as the 4th best program in the world. We know Scottish men, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, yo, you should have put Ireland up there because Ireland is absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it. Yes, but we'll talk about Ireland later. With Scotland, I think they have the most balance between them. I think Scotland women are absolutely dominating team. Yes, I know that they are currently what are they ranked in the Six Nations? I think they're number 4. They're 4th in Six Nations. Tough team, hard nosed, pop people in the mouth kind of team. For the women's side, with the men's side, we know this one. Scottish men are clearly a mid-tier team, but they seem to always be within the mix. Their culture just doesn't seem to get them over the top very well. Number 2, I think their 7s is actually formidable. I might actually be changing this one. I might actually move Scotland down a little bit now that I'm thinking about it, because I had them because the men's 15s has been really good, and they're always a good upset away, and I think that they have the most balance between it. No, I'm gonna stick with it. I think they have the most balance between the men and the women. The Scottish women's 7s isn't really that fantastic, but I think the 15s just does enough to be able to pull up the ranking off of what's weaker for the men's side. All right, number 5, I got Italy. All right, I know, not Ireland yet. What the F, man? What the F? I know, but I'm look at Italy, and I look at them from, I mean, U20s doesn't count, but they are feeding in more players coming in. The men's side obviously have been the worst of the best, but this Six Nations, I think they elevated themselves up. Number 2, I think Italy sevens is it's actually not that great. Italy sevens isn't actually that great. Might actually have them a little bit too high. You know what? I'm switching. This is where I make the switch. Ireland over Italy in this one. Ireland over Italy. I see the errors of my way in that one. So I'm gonna have Ireland up where Italy is, and I'm moving Italy down to where Ireland is. So I have Ireland at number 5. All right, the change. Ireland at number 5. And that's because, look, we know Irishmen, 15s and 7s, absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it, right? They found their way. Obviously, they're not as good as their Southern Hemisphere brethren, but they are absolutely annihilating it where they need to be. Irish women, the 15s lacking, 7s increasing. They already won a series. They have culture, they have talent, they know what they're doing with it, and they have a good throughway. I think that especially considering the limitations that Ireland has in terms of resources, and not financially, but like just from a people standpoint, like you got limited resources. They play above themselves. So I'm gonna move Ireland up to number 5, which then puts Australia staying at number 6 for me. Which I think Australia sits at number 6 because while Australia rugby union men rugby union is completely collapsing within itself, they are still always a team, especially at 15s, that is going to beat some ass when it's necessary. Yes, the time with Eddie Jones this past year wasn't the greatest, but that Australia team, especially with the talent drain, still seems to be within the mix. Australia sevens, their men always keep coming back up, and they find their way through. But the big kicker on this one is the Australian women's side. Australian women's side is pulling up that whole ranking. They are dominating. I think they very arguably will probably win the Olympics this year. And then with the Rugby World Cup 2025, I mean, they have as much a chance to disrupt the New Zealand, England domination of the last 2 Rugby World Cups. So I think Australia women have really taken the reins on this one over the men, but we don't sleep on the men. Then obviously after that, I got Italy. Don't worry about the graphic. Italy, again, Italy men are rising up. Italy sevens is improving. Italy women actually do damage. Like the 15 side are really, really strong set. Italy sevens, questionable, but I think that they are always in the mix. They are a tough team in sevens. They are a tough team in sevens, regardless of whatever you want to feel with it. I think even currently now in HSBC sevens, Italy is ranked. Hold on, let's take a look real quick. Oh, Italy's not in it for this one. Okay, yeah. So never mind. Anyways, I still got them on that one. Yo, shout out my guy Ryan Kirby. Yo, appreciate it. Ryan Kirby said, "Gift, I love you, bro. Ready for some Hong Kong sevens?" Yes, I am, Ryan. Love you too, bro. Hey, guys, check him out on X. Man is one of the most passionate rugby fans absolutely out there. Definitely worth taking a look. And if you can get him on to the X DM list, man, well worth it, man. Well worth it. Thank you so much, Ryan. All right, let's continue on. I got South Africa at number 8. Now, we all know South Africa men, 15s, the top. They are literally the top of the top. Ain't no questions about it. They are the current 2-time Rugby World Cup back-to-back champions. They are the best of the best of the best, sir. South Africa sevens men, not so much. Used to be one of the most dominant teams in there. But considering the fact that they lost to Kenya in the Olympic qualifiers, they are possibly not even going to make it to the Olympics. In sevens, they are basically just scraping by. They're sitting ranked at 7th. I don't think it's that great in that aspect. So it brings them down. The other half of it is South Africa women. Now, this is a club that is improving, and this is why I kind of have them still high. Yes, we actually just talked about the fact that they played USA women. They actually lost, but That is a team that is very hard nosed. And if you've seen where they started from, this is really back 2019 and getting into it. The ascent has been really impressive, really, really impressive. And I think South Africa women probably over the course of the next 3 years will be in a position that Fiji is actually in with their women's side, where they are dominating at the sevens and the 15s level and finding their legs more and more and more. But I can't take away the fact that still they're still not quite there. So I still have them ranked a little bit lower. But definitely we see rugby men's 15s for South Africa absolutely doing the damage. Ain't no doubt about it. But the combination, I got them at 8th. All right. And number 9, I got Fiji. Before the hand, Fiji men's sevens was really the one that was just absolutely killing it. We 2-time Olympic champions, looking to defend it again this year. I think they got competition, but looking to defend it again this year. And in terms of 15s, they typically were just slacking. Like they just weren't able to get themselves because they weren't able to put together teams, and most of their guys would have to dispatch to other teams across Europe and Argentina and Australia and New Zealand. But since the development of the Fijian Drua, men's 15 has increased. We saw them this year in the Rugby World Cup, came into the semifinals, were just unable to get over the top, but they were doing their damage. A team to watch. On the other side of it, the women's side. And that is one that I think people are underestimating. That is one of the toughest teams in sevens, and they have one of the toughest teams in 15s. They again, a team that really started kicking off somewhere around 2018, really 2014, and they were not good in 2014, 2015. But somewhere around 2018, 2019, around COVID, they started finding their legs. And then we saw it in 2021 for the Rugby World Cup. They came and they brought it. They absolutely brought it. And in sevens, the same thing. They absolutely are bringing it. And I think that is a team that is just continuing to be in the ascent. If both Fiji won the women's and the men's side in the Olympics this year, I wouldn't be surprised. A little surprised, because I don't think Fiji men are as good as they have been in the past. But that women's team, they're dominant. They're strong up the front at the forwards. They are fast off the edges, and that's both for 15s and 7s. At number 10, I got Argentina. What? Argentina? Why Argentina? They're not even in 7s. No, man. Argentina men, obviously 15s. They're consistent powerhouse. The best of what would be a tier 2 region, but they are obviously a tier 1 nation that supports tier 2. Shout out to them. But I think their program, their system is absolutely magnificent. The men's side are able to dominate, and then in 7s, the men's side are absolutely doing real significant damage for them. And they are inarguably a dark horse to be able to win the Olympics this summer. Winter for us in Brazil, summer for up in North America. The women's side obviously is a little bit more questionable. I think Brazil has the lockdown on women's rugby in the region, but it is a developing program. And I feel like, once again, even though with South Africa, I brought down the men because of the women and their 7s, the women obviously are the slack for Argentina in this one, but they're building. And considering that they are still relatively new, I think that they're doing a good job. And I think that system is already starting to see their payoffs bit by bit by bit. I think they're in the championship. I always want to say the Commonwealth, but the bracket that's after the bracket that's my goodness, I hate it when I keep forgetting this. Hold on, I'm looking it up right now because it's gonna pop up and I know where to pop it up from. The Challenger Series. They're doing their thing in the Challenger Series. But yeah, so with the women for Argentina, I think they're ascending. Still got a long way to go, but they are improving bit by bit by bit. And then now let's get to in Argentina, women in the seventh season, they're 3-0 so far. Like they're absolutely killing it. They're killing it. All right, next up we got Wales on this one. I think Wales is on a downslide. Wales women have not been that great when it comes to 15s. When it comes to sevens, they get locked in with Great Britain typically. Jasmine Joyce, shout out to her. On the Wales men's side, obviously they've been traditional powerhouses, but the program's falling apart. And on the seven side, just not dominant, but they still can perform right now, but they're on a downslide trajectory. Number 12, I got Japan as it. Japan men, we've seen what they've done. 15 side, they are in a similar position like I feel like Italy is. They are the worst of the best, but they are always able to be either an upset team or able to find a way to finesse their way into being part of the mix, and they're legitimate threats. I think for the 15 to the 7 side, legitimate threats. And then from the women's side, while they are not always that good, they are the best in Asia. They're legitimately the best in Asia, and it's by a distance. Like, I think the women have lost to Korea every once in a while, men, but like it's been like once. Like when it comes to Japan versus China, Japan has had the upper hand more times than not. And I think that Japan development program significantly better. Okay, I'm gonna rush through 13 through 25 just because I want to cut down a little bit of the time that we have and not keep us too long. Number 13, I got Canada. Canada women are holding up Canada by way more. Olympics, Rugby World Cup finalists. The men are slipping heavily. Number 14, USA finally makes it. Again, the women are doing a good job in holding us up. Men's sevens are always in the mix, a great power program. 15s needs a significant amount of work. Sevens, obviously, we're not winning when we need to win, so it also drops us. And then the women, same thing, but they are far more in the mix, far more in competition. Though the women's 15s, we'll see how they improve because the last couple of years they have just not been very good. Portugal, again, one that is a surprise, but not really. The men and women have been increasing both in 15s and 7s. We saw Portugal in the Rugby World Cup for men's, and in 7s, they've been surprise teams and been in the mix. Again, not a team to play with for either one of them. Number 16, I got Spain. Similar situation with Portugal, but I think they're just behind Portugal. Spain's been better in women's and 7s, but and been better historically in 15s, but I think Portugal is doing better in their 15s. They got better forwards and definitely better backs. And obviously for men's, that's in the men's side, and for 7s, I think Portugal is increasing, and Spain is very up and down. I don't think they're very consistent. Number 17, I got Kenya. Kenya men's 7s has been increasing. I think we all know there are, again, like Italy, like Wales, like Italy, like Japan, best of the worst of the best in 7s. 15s, they're actually improving more. Still not great, but they're improving more during the Africa, not the Africa games, but Rugby Afrique. They were right within the mix for it. I think they're very significant in terms of that. And from the women's side, the women's dominate Africa in 15s and 7s at this point. They are the ones to upset. Obviously, 7s, they came in, I think, second or third in the Africa games, but they are always typically the ones to dominate because, you know, Kenya's actually going to the Olympics on this one. So call it what it is. Women, they're going. So they're doing what they need to do on that one. Number 18, one that you don't really see very much, but if you watch them in their Challenger Series, watch them in their home arenas, Germany. Germany is a team that is improving significantly. Now, they haven't been able to win when it matters, and typically they would have like Hong Kong 7s to do it, but they're going to do it during the Challenger Series for 7s. And 15s, again, in the mix, but they're like still behind like a Portugal, a Georgia in terms of men. And then women's, again, always in the mix, but they just have not been able to get over the top. And I feel like this next part of the list is really a lot of teams that are in the mix, but unable to get over the top with it. But Germany is actually a pretty proficient team on both sides. Just not elite. They're like good above average teams, but they're not. They're average whenever they play against top competition. Top tier 2, bottom tier 1s. They don't compete well. Number 19, Samoa. All right, Samoa men, again, we know them like historically great at rugby, but the men just do not seem to win when it matters most. They don't win when they matter most. Again, the programs are good. They have the talent, but obviously they get the talent drain because everybody goes and pickpockets that area. But particularly New Zealand and Australia and France. But I don't think that their program has grown very well. And from the women's side, hard team, tough team, definitely one that you can't, scuff your nose against, but they just haven't been able to take it over. I think that they're ones that are they just need more financing. It's very difficult. They haven't done anything to be able to get more attention, and they're not getting the same amount of assistance that like a Fiji is. And it sucks for them. But top 20 still. At number 20, I have Uganda. I've talked about them so significantly. Uganda men and Uganda women legitimately know how to dominate in 7s, and they are improving significantly in 15. Now, mind you, they are the best after Kenya and South Africa in rugby, in 7s preeminently, but they are dominating. They are actually very, very dominant. Now, I want them to improve better in the Challenger Series. And, of course, within their 15s, it's very difficult for them to get to the Rugby World Cup because they basically have to go through Namibia. But I feel Namibia is trending very much downwards, while Uganda is trending very much upwards, which is why I have them at number 20. Definitely black and orange is something to look for. Number 21, I got Belgium. Belgium, very similar to Germany. Team that is on the rise, team that has a lot, but they just aren't able to perform when they go against the elites. But within their little element, absolutely kill it for both men and the women. Number 22, I got Madagascar as sitting there. Again, a team that is rising. They just will never have the finances to really get over the top. But their men and women's team, both 15s and 7, really specifically for 7s, really does a good job in pulling them up. Number 23, I got Tunisia. If you watch them, man, they get so much pull from their men playing in France and then pulling into it. It plays so heavily for them. So heavily for them. Oh, my goodness. And that's the same with the women's. They're increasing during the Africa games. They weren't great, but improving, and you can see it. And then number 24 and 25, I got Brazil and Jamaica. Brazil women are absolutely killing it in South America. Brazil women are making a mark in 7s on the HSBC tour, but they're still needing to get it over the top. Brazil men, man, they, again, nothing to sniff at. They'll get a win from time to time, but they just don't. They still need work, still need to be able to get some culture, and I can see it here. You still need to increase it, but they're getting around there. They're getting around there. And then in 7s, so really it's basically the same. And then lastly, I got Jamaica because that is a program that is pretty even. They run Caribbean. They are very involved. They've always been able to show out in things like Challenger or Hong Kong 7s. Their 15s does well within RAN. I think as a total program, they're able to really show their stuff. So that is what I got. 25. Let me know what you think. And I'm going to go back again. It's number 1, New Zealand. Number 2, France. Number 3, England. Number 4, Scotland. Number 5, Ireland. No. Yes. Number 5, Ireland. Number 6, Australia. Number 7, Italy. Number 8, South Africa. Number 9, Fiji. Number 10, Argentina. 11, Wales. 12, Japan. 13, Canada. 14 USA, 15 Portugal, 16 Spain, 17 Kenya, 18 Germany, 19 Samoa, 20 Uganda, 21 Belgium, 22 Madagascar, 23 Tunisia, 24 Brazil, and 25 Jamaica. Some people are going to ask me why not put Georgia. Georgia doesn't have a women's team. They don't do anything with women. Can't throw them in there. What about Russia? I ain't seen Russia play in forever. I don't know what's going on with them. Technically, they should be higher ranked, but when's the last time we saw them really like play before in the past? And yeah, you go. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, and let me know where you guys are feeling when it comes to that.
We're taking dumplings to a new level. My name is Gifte Belu. I'm here with Health Enhanced Foods, and I want to introduce you to one of our most popular products, dumpling flour. What makes our dumpling flour so popular is that it is a mix of unrefined super flours that create the maximum level of nourishment for your personal dumplings. This is including mixes like buckwheat, sunflower, flax seeds, everything that helps to be able to make your appetite stronger, more fulfilled, and healthier. Including within that, we have no added sugars, so we want to make sure that it is rich in protein, rich in fiber, and rich in vitamins and minerals. Our dumpling flour is diabetic friendly, high in quality gluten-free mixes with no rice. And if you know, you know. There's always a little bit of rice to be able to stabilize it, not here in our dumpling flour. It is naturally nourishing, and of course, it's a great substitute for wheat-based dumplings. With this gluten-free dumpling, you can now make your croissants, you can make your rice dumplings, you can make your dessert dumplings. You can absolutely find this at healthenhancedfoods.com. Go ahead, get yourself a bag, get yourself a pallet, and make sure that you can fulfill for your people and yourself the way that you really deserve it. Don't wait, let's go!
I ain't convinced. Ride around in the city, black out the tents.